All right. Stavros, Terry, good to see you both. Uh,
Hello, guys.
how you
Nice to
going?
see you.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we got this event tomorrow night, which we're really excited about, and Terry's back and my back have held up, and we've got it all from the Sunshine Coast to the Gold Coast. We've got all the big guns here, so yeah, I thought it'd be a good opportunity to learn more about yourself and the technologies that are coming out. Like there's you know, Aries Cerat's probably the most innovative company in regards to new technology coming out that I know of in the industry. So it'd be good to sort of explain a bit of that for the guys, and yeah, we'll go from there. But I
Absolutely.
thought we'll get Terry kick off, and we'll go from there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thanks for organizing the event. And yeah, very happy to see you over the phone.
Yeah,
And great to actually get to talk to you for the first time, Stavros. I've been looking forward to this for a while. So
Likewise.
uh, I'll leave the technical questions to Robert because he's the man who knows what needs to be asked. But really, I'd like to approach it from more of a human perspective, how you got into this. I mean, say this is a pretty amazing business you've created, but how did Stavros, the creative, how did you start all this?
Well, thank you for the kind words. I wasn't, you can actually study a lot of all these things in audio. It's a multidiscipline industry. You have to, be on top of quite many of engineering aspects and science sectors. Coming into this, I had no idea that, back when I was starting my studies, that I will be ending up in audio because originally I'm an aeronautical and mechanical engineer and I had expertise in motion movement, in robotics, advanced materials, and such. But my passion was music and audio reproduction. But at the same time, I was a self-taught electronic engineer, also self-taught acoustics engineer. And one day I said, why don't I combine them? Because the irony of the thing is that I was into electronics, but not audio electronics. I was designing microprocessors down to the glue logic level, a lot of mechatronics, which is the interface between the real world to the software to the electrical world. And one day I said, why don't I combine the two, my two passions of designing and audio. And that was like a switch going on. And even before finishing the university, which I was in the laboratory, robotics laboratory. And I was into a, let's say, a quite narrow track of what I was supposed to do, working in aerospace industry and such. And one day I said, okay, I have to decide now if I go back to Cyprus and start, what my idea about an audio company, or I just keep this track and maybe regret afterwards. So it was like a crossroad which happened quite early. That was the blessing because usually when you're too old to do that crossing, it's too late. So I was fortunate enough to decide very early what I wanted to do. So I started the company, I think it was 24, 25-year old. So I had good energy to fast track everything. So I think that was a good call by the looks of it.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's I've been lucky enough to have your Aries Cerat gear here for a couple of years. I must admit, I very much enjoy playing it. I mean, so I get to play quite a lot of different brands and everything, but yeah, Aries Cerat gear is kind of special, and I don't mind admitting that, even though I stock a lot of other brands. So I'm very pleased to be hosting this night tonight at GC tomorrow night at GC Hi-Fi in Purasound. But we're really looking forward to a big night actually tomorrow night with the people that are coming.
Thank you. Thank you for the kind words. And this is why we started this, this company, because I was really not enjoying or appreciating how the industry was full of, let's say, mediocre designs at best, and with then quite a hefty price tag for what they're actually were, not just in terms of sound quality, but in actual engineering. And what I wanted to do is actually show my idea of what is possible, and what is my idea about how music reproduction should sound and perform like. And this is, brands which are revolve around one design, and what you are actually pushing is your idea and your opinion, and which is more close to reality. This is proof is the pudding. Depends on your actual clientele, if they appreciate, and if they are close to your idea of what music should sound like when it's reproduced by a music system. And I am very, very happy that the feedback from the of our clientele and our network is what is keep pushing us to push the envelope more. So we're pretty happy of our course so far.
We've got some pretty special gear here for tomorrow evening's event, and I've been contacted by a lot of people asking about it, and I must admit, Robert's more likely the man who he knows a lot more about it than I do, and obviously he's the man that needs to ask the next questions, and I need to learn. But as I say, I'm very much looking forward to tomorrow evening's event. So if maybe Robert wants to ask some questions, and I can learn a bit.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Terry. Yeah, just talking about your beginning, Stavros, it reminded me of some stories you told me when I was in Cyprus in March, and hope you don't mind me bringing it up. But like when you mentioned that you were in university and living in that top floor apartment in Greece, and you were pretty much set up like a production facility in this apartment, or one
Yeah,
room was
but
woodwork, and
neighbors didn't appreciate that, but
so that
but
was
with the territory.
even earlier on. So yeah, and those designs are pretty incredible. They pretty look like a couple of fridges basically with tubes sticking out the top, some of them. So yeah, it's cool. But just thought I'd mention that because if there's anything you want to add to that, I thought that people might be interested in that.
But it allow us to, let's say, fast track our launch of the company, because I had already designed before the establishment of the company a full system. We had let's say the grandpa of Symphonia speakers were developed back then, 2008. We had a predecessor of the Exegor line, of the Concerto line. A huge stereo amp, was like 1 meter wide, and everything was built like lab tools, so no compromised, really out of the box thinking. We had our sources and preamps, so it was only a matter of it really, really gave us like a head start when we actually developed the company. And the company, of course, gave us the resources, with the equipment that we acquired, the CNC machining and the square footage to actually do what we had in mind, and the designs. Let's say the core of the designs was there, and then we just follow through and pretty much develop everything from the core up.
Mm.
Yeah, well, that sort of, I guess, leads into my first sort of point is, I just want to touch on what people are listening to here, and the technology that's really, I think, brought in a new clientele base, but it's also expanded your sound in a really positive way, is TriodeFET.
Yep.
And it was with the Essentia. Oh, actually, no, I was wrong. It was with the Lianis monoblocks.
Yes,
Which
there's
Yes.
Yes.
I just thought maybe you could mention a little bit about, I guess, when you first built that technology and then how it's was re-released, maybe why it was re-released, and then how it's progressed, because we've got from generation from 1 to 3 now, so a
Yes.
little bit on that. Yeah.
So the original Danos amplifiers monoblocks were developed back end of 2012, and we made a pair 2013. It had the original TriodeFET technology, the generation one. It wasn't as refined as today's technology, and what I felt like, it wasn't really ready to be streamlined into production. It was very difficult to produce, although it sounds incredible back then.
Hmm.
And I just put it in the fridge. It was very expensive to actually produce back then, and very difficult to streamlining into production. So I just put it in the fridge. We already had quite a elaborate tube lineup, single-ended, which sounded fantastic. So I would just push it on the side of our head for quite some time. And it was during COVID that something happened, not audio related, and our main tube, the 813 that we use for the time, and we really believe that it's actually a top tube to make set amplifiers. It really ran out
Yeah.
in the market. Really ran out as well, especially for NOS tubes, not modern Chinese made ones. And we really wanted to make something. I didn't want to try other tubes. I really don't. I'm not fancy of the normal, modern production tubes. So I said, okay, let's see if we can redevelop the TriodeFET and make, let's say, an alternative amplifier lineup, which, let's say, if we split the production to do, we'll save some 813s, and at the same time, if we get close to that sound, then we also expand the line. But something funny happened. It was during COVID. We had a lot of production in our hands. It was quite a good time for us, but at the same time, it was full lockdown here, so we had extra time to play around. So I had a lot of time to push and see how far the envelope of the TriodeFET performance can go, and it just keeps giving back. And one day, we're trying, let's say, a very early prototype of the Sendias, and everybody in the lab was flabbergasted by what we were hearing. And I remember, one of my good employees, Costas, wrote a sign scandalous and just put it on the prototype. It was that good. So it started as an alternative amp tech, which I would initially, I said, if it sounds a bit less, let's say 85, 90% of our midline sets, I'll be super happy, based on super low maintenance and pretty reliable tech.
Hmm.
But it just superseded our set technology. So it started as an alternative, but it established itself as the frontline technology of the company, and it just really took off. We pretty much spawn out like 10 models with the Danos amplifier technology, TriodeFET technology since COVID actually, and it pretty much soft replaced a lot of our designs, and for a good reason, not because of its side effects, which is super low maintenance compared to big triode amplifier, extremely stable and reliable tech, and lower heat, more safe, no big tubes protruding. But the core thing is it just sounds so much better, and its sound is not the usual tube or solid state or even hybrid. It has something very, very special to the presentation, which by the looks of how our clientele route they usually take, it's it speaks for itself that it is a better technology.
Yeah. Yeah, when I first received the Apereo, that was the first 5 seconds. I was like, what is this? This is not the Aries Cerat sound that I know. But it didn't take long for me to just become addicted to what it brings. It brings a density to the sound and atmospheric detail that I'd never heard before. And I haven't turned back. So yeah,
Yes.
but yeah, I think in regards to putting things in the fridge, I have a feeling your fridge is pretty full with some ideas. And another one that you kept away from us for a little while was the noise tech, the negative output
Yes.
impedance energy source that you've got. We first brought back with the Pondera, the
Yes.
preamplifier.
We
But there
call
was
it Pondera Tech because it
yeah, well,
was
Pondera tech. Yeah, that's it. But
so
there
this
was
was back in 2011 actually.
yeah,
So the first Pondera was debuted at 2011 Munich show, and that room was, people find us in shows nowadays, and they still talk about that room, 14 years after. So it was uh, quite a sound. Pondera Tech in the noise tech was a very crazy idea of mine, and I went straight into the first prototype, and it over delivered what I anticipated because sometimes when you do some crazy circuit, you never know what you're running into because it's not just the numbers. Sometimes it's not just a measurable result. Many things that are let's say are below the and above the usual measurements that and a usual client will read about. So the Pondera was put in the fridge. We just made the Pondera preamp. It used the core technology, the same core technology,
yeah.
but it used 814 tubes, the big bottle power tubes as preamp. That was a crazy design and crazy good preamp. The problem was that back then I didn't feel that the time was right. It was near impossible to streamline into production, and the parts were not ready for the tech yet. It really needs some bespoke parts that we just could not access or develop at the time. And I said, okay, this is for later on. So we just push it. Ironically enough, we never remove it from the catalog. We always had Pondera preamp to be,
Yeah,
disclosed.
yeah. It'd be
And
like
it
a book
took
of
us
stuff. Yeah,
it took us 13 years to put it out. And this technology, the one of the key points of it is that you can combine it with your core technologies. You can combine it with simple set circuits, with big triode set circuits. You can combine it with the TriodeFET or the inverted triode, which is one of our flagship technologies. And it really, really takes things into next level performance quite easy. And with the we gather all the experience in terms of manufacturing and streamlining something into a product, and as well as having access to advanced materials and design techniques for the parts. We were able to actually put something into production, starting with the Pondera preamp last year, which the Pondera preamp is actually an insidious level of single-ended triode signal circuit, which you apply the noise technology to it, and its performance level goes automatically 2-3 levels above that. So it really, really kicks the tech you combine it with to a much higher level, and it all boils down to how the core circuit works.
yeah, okay, yeah. So we've obviously got that here within Terry's room, the Aether preamp, which is serial number
Yes.
one. You were kind enough to let me take that one off your hands. And yeah, so we do have some noise tech here. And yeah, sonically it does feel like compared to say the Agito. that noise just opens up the sound in a big way. So, I guess maybe a few words on the Aether and where that sort
Yes.
of came from and ended up.
So a few words for the noise tech. I don't want to be very technical about it. So all power supplies, regardless of its tube rectified, solid state, regulated or not, choke filter, doesn't matter. They always present a sagging effect. So when you try to push more power, the power supply will sag, will drop a bit, and it will bounce back when you in demand of much lower current, for example. You can apply feedback to it like a regulator will do. It will just introduce some more effects. It's like adding feedback to your actual signal. So you get some other effects, sonic, and usually on the bad side of of the spectrum. And it's always a finite residue of sagging when you have a huge dynamic swing, for example, a big transient. The noise tag is you have the circuit, which can be whatever it is, inverted triode line circuit, can be a big TriodeFET for an amplifier or a small set like an NOIES. And it's fed by a modulator instead of a normal power supply. That modulator follows music in real time, not by feedback or feed forward. It actually is driven by the same music signal as the main circuit. And what it does, it anticipates or it just tracks the music. And when you are demand of much higher load, the modulator will copy that load in addition to what you're actually requiring. So let's say you are idling through, let's say at 0, and then you want to go plus 100, and the power supply will sag a bit and say, okay, I only have 98, right? This is how the power supply would go. Whereas in the noise tech, just to give you like a rough, it's a bad example, but you get the idea of it. Let's say the signal goes from 0 to 100. All right, the noise will come and say, you want 100, I'm going to give you 200. I'm not going to try to be stable. I'm going to give you as much as you want, times 2.
Wow.
So so if you are, let's say, a line stage or an amplifier, and you're looking back at the power supply, you're not looking at the reference which is trying in vain to be stable. You're seeing a reference point which is going to push you and pull you in synchronicity to what you are doing. Right. So instead of, let's say, leaning on a wall which is flexible and trying to modulate something, the wall is pushing and pulling you at the same rate that you are actually want to do the load. So it's like having a second circuit inverted, pushing you and pulling you. So what does it sound like? It sounds extremely unrestricted and very uncompressed.
Yeah.
And it's like an expander. It's like an accordion, which is open up to the sound. This is the effect that many describe when they hear our noise tech. It's like the sound is being stretched.
Yeah.
It's the exact opposite of the congested sound, actually. It goes even more expansive. Measurable-wise, it also gives some very nice side effects. For example, it lowers distortions to levels that are reachable without feedback, or let's say with that specific circuit. And it removes this time smearing that is killing ambience, low frequency and high frequency ambience, the space, which is destroyed, this information, by the smearing of the small modulations in the power supply. When you remove this veil, it's very, very apparent. And you only hear it when it's not there. When it's there, sometimes you never know what you're missing. When you apply the circuit, it is like, okay, so that was missing, obviously. And the greatest thing with this is that we said, okay, let's try it. Let's see what's possible. Let's combine it with the TriodeFET. And that spawned out our flagship now, the Odysseus. amplifier, which it just pushed the TriodeFET to a level that I wasn't sure it can go. So that thing went automatically to our flagship series, the Legend series. The Ether is a funny story because I was trying for some time to beat the Aggetto with an Aggetto limited edition. So I was trying to do a better Aggetto, because people were still asking us, what's next? I want to have a Aggetto. It's magnificent. I want something more. And we tried a few tricks and few, adjustments, and we tried to do Gen 4 inverted triad. They were better, but not, crazy, take my money better kind of thing. And I really don't like to launch products that they don't have something to say, just because, if you see our lineup has very distinct steps between them. So I said, okay, we don't do an LE for now. We have to see what we do. And I said, okay, let's try the noise tech with the inverted triode generation 3, which is our top line level technology, actually. And just blew off. It just went beyond of what I was thinking. So that's why I said we're not going to do an Aggetto LE because it's so good that it deserves its own name and its own lineup. And so that it went automatically to the Legend series as Ether.
Yeah, it certainly made an impression when I was in Cyprus. It was just, it all opened up, like I said. So, it was quite apparent that was the big step to take for me anyway. Look, I guess, look, you've covered a lot. I thought we'd just finish with a question about something is more recently developed. Look, we could go on all night, of course. You've got a lot of amazing products, your turntable, your new phono. But I just want to touch on the new interface that you're releasing for the Aries Cerat DACs. This is a proprietary interface only for Aries Cerat DACs. There will be a few owners here at the event who have Aries Cerat DACs, and we're all pretty excited. So it's maybe just if you can just give us a little bit of rundown on that particular item.
Yes. So there are it's coming, and a lot of people are very anxious to get it, but we'll take our time to have it by the end of the year. So what the key point of what we're trying to do is first is a huge upgrade to our DACs. You can see it as a very, very big step up if you have a DAC. And the second thing is that it negates the need to have a very, very, very expensive top of the line server. And I really wanted to do, really wanted to give freedom to our clients to not have this necessity to go all out in servers and get the latest switch and latest server and latest power supply for that server, because there are better ways to skin a cat when you have this. Let's say you have the data on the server. It's usually what the choke point is. The bottleneck is the USB. The USB connection. So regardless of how expensive your server will be, you still have the USB bottleneck. So what we want to do is, okay, you have the USB, we keep the USB for compatibility. So we don't want to go to a way that, okay, you have to install this PCI card to the server. You have to buy this expensive addition to the server. Oh no, your server is not compatible, get another one. So we want to have a compatible USB input. Okay. And this is where let's say the usual digital, let's say its mainstream compatibility stops, and then you handle the data very, very differently. Then it will be like server, USB, DAC, that's it. What the device does is it takes the data from the USB, and it does some tricks which we don't want to expand on it, at least for now. And it it pretty much handles the DAC afterwards. So it takes the data from the USB, from the server, it stores them, and then it feeds the DAC at its own rate, at its own pace, and at its own hardware software that we made to the DAC. So the device with the DAC, they're connected with our proprietary connection. It's not usualized wireless, and it's very easy to install and be retrofittable. So the user will have a daughter card installed to their DAC. Of course, you remove the USB card; you don't need it anymore. And the device, let's call it device X, will handle all the data. The server cannot see your DAC; it's invisible, and the DAC cannot see the server. So it's kind of an endpoint. You can see it in abstract terms. It's like an endpoint, and the user has only to remember two things. First is that it's compatible to pretty much everything. So you don't need to get specialized cards or specialized server or software. And it's an extremely big upgrade in your sound. And that upgrade is independent of what you are feeding it, which is the most important thing. And that's why on our last Munich show, we had a laptop feeding a $1 million system because we wanted to show that you don't need crazy server to get at a much higher level with, let's say, your with that particular DAC. You can get to a much higher level even if you use a top of the range server. You could way surpass that level even if you don't use expensive server.
Yeah,
that's what we want to do is we provide our users with a pretty straightforward upgrade to their system, and as a side effect and free bonus is that you don't need to get crazy on the server side.
And that'll be compatible with the Helene as well?
Yes, it's gonna be retrofittable to all the models in all makes.
Excellent.
Yeah, so you can do it with the Homerus, the flagship, or the Helene. It's not just for the top models.
Very much looking forward to that arriving.
Right now, we have the core technology ready. It was ready before the show. Right now, we're playing with some options depending on power. Power is very important, and the device has two firewalls. One firewall is that it's isolated from the server as well. So even though you have the USB connection to it, you have no ground or power connection to the server. They're galvanically isolated. And at the same time, the device X is isolated from the DAC as well. So you have two firewalls, noise firewalls, protecting your DAC to the server. And that's where you won't see difference if you use crazy switches and crazy, LAN cables and all these things that they only just modulated the noise a bit differently. Again, all these things are thrown out of the window because of this double firewall. Again, we wanted to isolate the total result, the end result, by its constituents before the DAC. So, and I think we succeeded to a very big degree. Now we just play with the power. For example, we're experimenting with some supercapacitor banks that will alternatively charge, so you don't have any wall connection as well to the wall. It's like having a batteries, but they're not batteries, and they are charged, but they are not charged. So it's not like you have a battery system that you have to be online to be charged, but then you are connected to the mains. So battery advantage goes out the window. What we want to do is we have a system that will be fully charged. You don't need to wait a few hours to listen to your music, and at the same time, you're not connected to any mains. And we want to have it as standard. We don't want to introduce add-ons. The get this as well, or get this upgrade. We want to have one-off kind of solution. Just get this one and get done.
That's really
I
cool.
think we're going to be.
Yeah,
I think we're going to be running out of time in about a minute, so
yeah, we've got a
we
minute
can.
left, so we'll wrap it up. For some reason, the program's saying you got a time limit, but look, it's been super informative. You explain things so well, Stavros. So thank you so much for your time, and thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for the
Thank you for the
equipment.
event.
And we'll all enjoy it tomorrow.
Yeah,
Greetings
very
to our
nice.
friend coming tomorrow, and hope to catch up soon.
Thank you very much, Stavros. I hope to meet you next year in Vienna.
Nice to meet you over the phone, and yes, looking forward to.
Excellent. Thank you.
Cheers, guys.
Thank you.
Okay,
Ciao.
bye.